We got a bad fire here, and it's loaded with, we don't know what the hell is blowing up in there, with a lot of stuff blowing up.
This was Fire Commissioner Robert Quinn at the height of the McCormick Place blaze. It was Monday, January 16. Off Lake Michigan, the howl of the winter wind was obscured by the roar of the flames. You are listening to WCFL reporter Jeff Kamen.
Actually fall apart. The entire northern wing from the entrance that everyone knows so well in Chicago to the huge McCormick Place Airy Crown Theater, almost all the way north to the very end of the building itself, has just given way. Sparks have flown into the air. Firemen are pouring water on it, but they look almost as dismayed as I feel. Inside the building, where a show is to begin this morning, the superstructure of the building looks like some child's toy, just completely, horribly smashed and ablaze.
Well, this happened around 2:30, or a little after 2. And one of the booths on this National Hardware show.
In one of the booths, you say?
Yeah, in one of the booths, yeah.
What happened?
And well, it just busted out in flames.
Were you there?
Well, about 20 feet away from it, see?
Yeah.
And I told the other fellas to get a hold of the firemen or get one of these hand pumps so we can put it out. But it too fast. The curtains, the drapes, and the liquid, the paint, and all that stuff busting, just burning too fast.
Where did this take place? In what part of the building?
On the main floor, in the north side of the building.
How fast did it spread? Describe it for us.
Oh, I'd say about within 5-6 minutes the most.
I mean, within 5 or 6 minutes, the entire main floor was involved?
Yes, yes.
Well, I don't get it. Now, explain this to me again. Are you telling me that
it didn't take too much time to spread?
In other words, a booth?
Because of the ingredients in there.
What's that?
Well, we got all this paint, paper, liquid, the combustion that any heat will just bust it right open.
McCormick Place was to have been the scene of a giant housewares show, but Chicago Convention Bureau Director Gerald Sanderson had disheartening news.
There is no January housewares show. We were scheduled to open at 8:30 this morning, and the fire was started about 2 o'clock. I think by 2:15, 2:30, someone told me before I got out there at 3 that the roof caved in, and it had caved in when I got there at 3 or so. There is nothing we can do to have a housewares show. It's just impossible. We have 1,237 exhibitors. We had 60,000 buyers and merchandising executives in town. All 250,000 products were on display. They're all gone. The displays, everything. It's a good estimate that probably the loss is maybe as much as $100 million when you figure the cost of the displays, the value of the products that were there. Many of them were handcrafted samples that they would perhaps, at this point they have to charge it off to research and development and one little man making a sample.
As you know, it had wonderful facilities.
The fire took one life. The cost of the building, in dollars, over $30 million. But Mayor Daley says it can't be measured that way.
I really think that the educational graduations I've attended there, including University of Illinois and Loyola and DePaul and all the different high schools, have been wonderful affairs. I've seen great shows. We've attended Billy Graham's prayer on a Sunday in which there were 12,000 people for breakfast. You've had some of the outstanding meetings, including some of the great Democratic dinners at which the late John F. Kennedy, president, attended, as well as the present president, Lyndon B. Johnson. We are proud. We were proud of our McCormick Place. We still are. And I'm positive with the I Will spirit of Chicago, we will rebuild this great hall, and it'll be a better hall, and future generations will comment on the fact that although we did experience a great tragedy, we had the determination and the courage and the fortitude and the will to go ahead and repair it and have it for service to all the people.
According to the officials there, by managing to get out of handcuffs. How he did that will remain a mystery. WCFL weather, cloudy today with a chance of snow tonight, possibly 1 to 2 inches by tomorrow morning. High today,
The forecast,
36, low tonight
snow,
20s,
perhaps
tomorrow
an inch or
in the
more.
low 30s.
The forecast for January 26, 1967 was to become an historic understatement.
Well, at Midway Airport, we have 8 inches of snow, and the forecast says there's a possibility we might even get 10 inches by morning.
The weatherman was to be wrong a lot that day.
The forecast has been revised now. We expect around 15 inches of snow, and I hope there's no more.
But 23 inches of snow crippled Chicago.
This reporter was on one of the few moving conveyances still able to move people this day, a Northwestern commuter train, which parallels the famed Kennedy Expressway, with some drifts 10 feet tall against stranded semi-trailers. If you can imagine it, one of the world's busiest traffic arteries was being used for sledding by enterprising youngsters. The train slowed at a station paralleling the expressway, and there was a yellow cab, deserted, with the prophetic sign showing in the window, "Not for hire."
Desolate is the word that describes the Mount Greenwood area on Chicago's far southwest side. Here and there you'll see a hardy adventurous or foolish pedestrian, beginning to feel like one of the latter. My kingdom for a dog sled.
We spoke with Sister Martin Marie, the supervisor of the emergency room at Holy Cross Hospital. Sister, you had an unusual experience here today.
Yes, we did. We had one of our maternity cases brought in on a toboggan from the police department.
On a toboggan?
Yes, sir. They picked her up in the neighborhood about 2 or 3 blocks away from where their truck was parked, and the neighbors gave them a toboggan, so they ran through the streets with her on the toboggan and put her into the police truck and brought her to the hospital.
Now, Sister, once they got the patient into the hospital on the toboggan, then what happened?
She delivered.
Another first for Chicago.
There's a shopping center near my apartment that's buried under snow. The only thing open is a huge supermarket, and to get to it, you have to master snow drifts as tall as you are. The supermarket manager opens the door with a key, informing you that the store is open for emergency shopping only because of limited staff. The huge store on a normal day employs as many as 40 to 50 people and has 10 checkout counters. Today, there was only 1 checker and maybe 4 other employees.
Here in the Fox Valley, 50 miles west of Chicago, everything from at least Elgin on the north to Aurora on the south is at a standstill. The Tri-Cities, St. Charles, Batavia, and Geneva are virtually snowbound. Highway 64 west of St. Charles, which is the only area I've been able to visit on foot, is badly drifted and tied up with several stalled cars and trucks. Local police have asked all residents to stay off the roads. You just won't make it anywhere. Emergency hospital cases are being handled by sending a county snowplow through first. Most local businesses are closed, as are local industries. A long-time St. Charles resident, Joe Sills, claimed that the 2-foot snow depth on his street is reminiscent of 1936, the last year of the so-called Big Snow in St. Charles.
Throughout the crisis, Mayor Daley always appeared concerned but positive.
During an emergency of this kind, we need the cooperation and the help and assistance of everyone. And we've had it. And it's been a few days in which people seem to get closer together. And the spirit that's manifested itself in every section of our city has been the wonderful I Will spirit of Chicago.
This is Chicago's west side, the 1800 block South Pulaski. I'm standing now in front of a cleaning establishment. That's broken glass. All of the windows have been broken out here. You can look inside and see destruction. One of the many places looted. The front door doesn't exist. As I look inside, standing in the middle of the cleaning establishment is one white dress. It's all that's left after the building's been looted. There are many buildings just like it. A blanket of snow still covers the area, and in many places here, a blanket of glass.
The gross metropolitan production of Chicago last year was about $37.6 billion. That was the value of all the goods and services produced in Chicago.
It was Monday before statisticians from the Association of Commerce and Industry were able to sum up the damage to Chicago.
Now, this comes out to about $150 million a day. Now, if we were completely shut down on Friday, that would mean that we'd lost all of that. Well, we didn't lose all of it, I'm sure of that. But conservatively, I should think we lost at least $100 million on Friday, and probably over the weekend another $50 million. So I'd say the storm up until this morning has cost us at least $150 million.
Our plans are to carry out the comprehensive plan which was issued in December of 1966. This plan envisions the rehabilitation and rebuilding of every neighborhood. It envisions the extension of the recreational facilities in Chicago. It means better schools and more schools. It means additional high schools and city colleges. And it means, above all, the improvement of all the residential sections of our great city, as well as the commercial and industrial sections.
At age 64, Richard J. Daley sought and won an unprecedented fourth term as mayor of Chicago.
The verdict is in, and it is clear. Mayor Daley has won, and my running mates and I have lost. I have sent the following telegram to Richard J. Daley, quote, "Your re-election to a fourth term is now assured. I offer my best wishes for a prosperous Chicago. John L. Wehner."
When all the votes were counted April 4th, Mayor Daley beat his Republican opponent Wehner by a whopping 500,000 votes. Daley is the only candidate who ever carried all 50 wards in the city.
My running mates and I would like to thank all of Chicago for their wonderful approval of our platform and our records today. I am thankful to many, many people, thankful to many, many friends, and thankful to many, many people who are here, to my wife and to my fine family and to my parents and all my good friends. I'd like to say thanks from the bottom of my heart. I would also like to say, as I said in 1955, that I shall embrace charity, I shall love mercy, and walk humbly with my God in trying to give the people of Chicago the best government and the best city in the United States.
Standing by at the Peoria County Courthouse, we've got Jeff Kamen of WCFL News. Jeff?
The jury of 7 men and 5 women has just found Richard Franklin Speck guilty of the 8 murders of the student nurses last summer. And the jury had 3 choices: not guilty, guilty with death in the electric chair, or guilty with sentencing in prison left to the judge. The jury of 7 men and 5 women has chosen death in the electric chair for Richard Franklin Speck. This by signal from Carol Simpson inside the Peoria County Courthouse.
There was no reaction, at least visible, from Richard Franklin Speck. He stared blankly in front of him, maintaining the passive interest he has shown throughout the 2 months of his trial. From his demeanor, you would not think he was a man just found guilty of one of the most brutal crimes in history, a man facing death in the electric chair.
The murders took place almost a year before in a nurse's residence on Chicago's South Side. After months of legal maneuvering, the trial was shifted downstate to Peoria to avoid the possibility of prejudiced jurors. Jury selection, which started February 20, took 6 weeks. The dramatic highlight of the trial was testimony from Corazon Amaral, the little Filipino nurse who survived the slaughter of her roommates. Reporter Simpson remembers.
At one point, the prosecutor, William Martin, asked Corazon Amaral if she saw in the courtroom the man who held her and her friends at gunpoint and then proceeded to murder them. She stood up, stepped down from the witness stand, walked several feet to Richard Speck's chair, and she was no more than a few inches from his face, her finger, and she pointed right at him and said, "This is the man." And then Richard Speck stared at her. His eyes did not flinch away or anything, and she returned to the witness stand, and the prosecutor asked her again, "Is there anything different about the man?" And she said, "No, he looks just the same." So there was no doubt, apparently, in her mind that Richard Speck was the murderer.
The jury bought Miss Amaral's positive identification and decided that Speck should die in the electric chair. It was defeat for public defender Gerald Getty.
The jury has spoken, and our only alternative now is a motion for a new trial, and all cases where the death penalty is given in this state must be appealed.
Also outside the Peoria County Courthouse that day, Cook County Assistant State's Attorney William Martin, the prosecutor.
The enforcement of the criminal law
particularly in a capital case, is certainly something that doesn't lead us any cause to rejoice or celebrate. We came here to perform a duty that's imposed upon us by the statutes of the state. We presented the evidence to the citizens of this county, and we believe that they did their duty in returning their verdict.
We could see this terrible black cloud coming, so we decided to pull into the parking lot. And we pulled into the parking lot, and at that time, you could see the clouds start to roll and everything start to fly. And I just laid there and prayed that we would be all right. Then I saw
Friday, April 21st, tornadoes struck Chicago's south side. It is this woman's 69th birthday.
And about that time, the back window blew in of the car. It wasn't but a second that we started to roll. I don't know how many times we went over. Then we laid there for a long time hollering for help. And the man finally found us and pulled us out and brought us here. It's a terrible experience.
And what's your condition, ma'am?
I have a broken vertebrae in my back and several cuts where I have stitches taken in. But they think it isn't too serious, so I'm going to come out all right, I guess.
Oak Lawn is a disaster area. There is no other way to describe it. A forestry department employee says it's the worst storm damage that he has ever seen. At 95th and the Southwest Highway, the whole area is devastated. Oak Lawn High School is partially destroyed. A supermarket and a pancake house across the street from it, gone, completely flattened, with an estimated 20 to 40 people inside. Mrs. Barbara Steuben lives in that area.
Well, we saw it, and we heard it coming. Everything turned green. And the children had pushed the table against a wall, and were under the table, the two youngest. And I heard this whoosh sound. It sounded like an airplane coming closer. And I looked out the front door, and you could see this. I had never seen a tornado, but I knew that this was a tornado. And I slammed the door and screamed, "Get under the table," and got into the kitchen before my oldest daughter got under the table, and she was standing right next to it. So I don't know what pushed me. And then it was just wind, a loud wind. And I peeked out once and saw the trees blowing. Then the hail started. It sounded like glass breaking. But that's about all. Then it only lasted a few minutes, but it was terrifying. I was afraid to come out and look to see what had happened.
Was there any damage at your home?
Just from boards flying from someplace else, hitting the cars.
And what about the neighborhood?
Well, our block looks good compared to some. We walked a block away, and you wouldn't recognize Southwest Highway. It's not a highway. It's just the trees are laying, the wires and branches and roofs and boards, and it's bad.
Fire departments from all surrounding communities are on the scene with all available equipment. A temporary hospital and morgue have been set up near the worst-stricken area. Shelter for anyone needing it has been offered by the Evergreen Import Company at 3401 West 95th in Evergreen Park.
When it was over, more than 30 were dead in Oak Lawn alone. This man lived, but lost his record store, restaurant, and motel.
I was right back in the corner of the motel, and I looked out and this thing started to fly, and I looked up and seen the cars with people in them flying through the air. I had never seen, I don't know how many cars. There must have been 15 or 20 with people in them, and everything was flattening them in less than 30 seconds. There was just a big roar, and I ran into this room, and first thing I knew, it was all over.
And where had you been just prior to that?
I had been up in the office, and the office was demolished right a half a minute before that. I had just walked from the office.
How long did you say you'd been in business on this corner?
25 years.
Approximately how much of your establishment was demolished by the storm?
It looks like a total loss completely.
It makes one feel rather humble and perhaps a little frightened because of the expectations that are portrayed about what I will do or be called upon to do.
To Chicago, an Archbishop. Then, on June 26, he received the red biretta, symbolic of his new rank as a prince of the Roman Catholic Church. Hundreds of his flock were on hand at O'Hare Field on a stormy Saturday afternoon, July 1st, to greet the new cardinal as he returned from Rome.
2 weeks ago, we wished you bon voyage, a happy and safe trip, and we addressed you as Your Excellency. Today we welcome you on your return, and we address you with a new title, Your Eminence. We are proud that the Holy Father has chosen you as a cardinal, and we feel that we are part of you and share in this honor. We value your leadership and beg God to bless your work among us as Cardinal Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Chicago.
You are listening to the Chancellor of the Chicago Archdiocese, Monsignor Francis Vernon.
It was extremely thoughtful of His Honor Mayor Daley to be present in Rome for the conferring of the cardinalate upon our Archbishop. We are grateful for this great gesture of kindness, Your Honor, in which you represented us. May I present His Honor, Mayor Richard J. Daley.
Thank you very much, Monsignor Byrne, His Eminence, John Cardinal Cody, bishops, Monsignors, fathers, sisters, brothers, fellow Chicago. This is a very proud day in the history of our city when we are welcoming home a great leader of the church. So it is indeed a great honor, Your Eminence, to welcome you back to your home. We know you touched down in a great little island, and I know that the sentiments of all the people here in Chicago today and all assembled in this room would be one of an Irish prayer, that let the road come up to meet you, let the wind be always at your back, and let the Lord hold you in the hollow of your hand. We're happy to have you back, Cardinal Cody. Thank you.
And now, His Eminence, John Cardinal Cody.
It's good to be home. My first message today is one of deep gratitude to you all for having come out here to welcome me. So tonight, as I return here to resume my work among you, as I bear the greetings and the particular blessing of Pope Paul VI, I ask you to again join with me in helping to carry out the mission that is mine to our own Catholic people, but to all the people of our city, of our area, of our archdiocese. This is indeed the true spirit of the Ecumenical Council, and surely through this we may bring back peace, justice, and charity among all men. And so, once again, I'm very glad to be home and to be with my people. Thank you, and God bless you.
It looked bad. It looked like Chicago would be hit by riots. Stokely Carmichael told Chicago Negroes they had a big job on their hands.
Feel the consciousness inside ourselves that when one city starts to go, if they bring the National Guard in that city, every goddamn city is going to go.
But Chicago's summer never exploded. It just simmered and sputtered, despite warnings from the street and from Dr. Martin Luther King.
Now, on the question of Cicero, here again we have a community that is a symbol of resistance to housing integration, and just as we confronted the Colossus of Selma in the south, we're going to confront the Colossus of Cicero in the north. Cicero cannot be exempt, or it cannot get by, as we look forward to our summer program. We said last summer that our march to Cicero was merely postponed. We did not say that it was a march that we would never have. And as I look at the picture now and think of the overall situation, I think it's going to be absolutely necessary for us to march into Cicero this summer.
All of them down 51st, 47th, 63rd, 39th, every place in Chicago. That's where they're going to ride at.
Who has been talking to a lot of kids to tell them that rioting is the way to get their freedom? Who has been doing all this talking to the kids?
The leader of the Black Nationalists.
Who's that?
I can't tell you his name. I'm not supposed to be giving out his name, you know, but that's what it is.
And what has he been saying, basically?
About riding, about getting our freedom.
What's the future hold for white people now?
They all gonna die.
Although the threats existed, there was little trouble in Chicago compared to the agony that gripped other parts of the country. Perhaps Muhammad Ali played an important part in keeping Chicago comparatively cool. This is the deposed heavyweight champ addressing a rally.
You're just inviting nothing but sure death. Sure death. All this Klan guerrilla warfare is nothing. If you give every so-called Negro, every black man in America, a machine gun, give him a bazooka, and a year's round of ammunition, we still wouldn't have a chance because you don't control no food. You'd be hungry in 3 days. How are you going to hold out in a war and you can't eat?
Cassius Muhammad Ali Clay, one of many Negro leaders, moved to action by scattered disturbances. WCFL reporter Joe Cummings was on the west side.
There's groups of young men, ages 22, 25, about... Whoop, another one. Oh, boy. Look out. Here we go. They're throwing the car, man. Look out. I get hit. Oh, man. Wow. We just took it, baby, and I ain't going back through that block for anybody.
City officials, civil rights leaders all agree it could have been worse.
Under his leadership, the Chicago Police Department has become the finest police organization in the world. The reorganization program of the police department during the past 7 years under the administration of O.W. Wilson has been marked by continual outstanding accomplishments. The improvement in personnel, the adoption of the most modern police methods and techniques, the installation of the finest communication system in the world, the upgrading of all physical facilities, the establishment of Operation Crime Stop are just a few of his many achievements.
Orlando Wilson came to Chicago in 1960 to take over a police department with a worldwide reputation for corruption. In 7 years, he transformed the demoralized force into what's widely regarded as one of the finest big city police departments in the world. O.W. Wilson announced his retirement May 15.
The decision actually was made in 1937. No, 1939, when I joined the faculty of the University of California. The university has a 67-year mandatory retirement. And in my planning in the years since that date, for my financial affairs and the good life to come after retirement, I have adhered to the age 67.
On August 1st, Wilson was succeeded by Deputy Superintendent James Conlisk, Wilson's own choice as the new police chief. Before Conlisk's first year was out, he engineered a shakeup. All in all, he transferred 11 high-ranking police commanders after the police department was linked with tire thefts, illegal parking, and bail bond writing.
These changes are designed and will provide an administration which is dedicated to providing the best of possible service to the citizens of the city of Chicago. The Chicago Police Department, like any other viable organization, must constantly be in a state of examination of itself. Things happen daily, changes throughout not only the social structure of our community, but also advances in business, advances technologically, must be kept pace with, otherwise we'll surely fall behind.
I think it's a very big put on in Chicago.
In other words, Picasso's trying to put us on because he doesn't think very much of this city, especially with that thing.
Picasso hates Chicago. It's very simple. Look at it.
I disagree with them all. I like the stupid thing.
I regard Picasso as the greatest exponent of sick art today.
Well, I like the thing. I figure somebody ought to come out and show that they appreciate it.
The giant sculpture in the Civic Center Plaza, a gift from Pablo Picasso, wasn't appreciated by everyone. But at the unveiling ceremonies, Gwendolyn Brooks displayed what she thought.
Does man love art? Man visits art, but squirms. Art hurts. Art urges voyages, and it is easier to stay at home. The nice beer ready. In common rooms, we belch or sniff or scratch. Are raw. But we must cook ourselves and style ourselves for art, who is a requiring courtesan. We squirm. We do not hug the Mona Lisa. We may touch or tolerate an astounding fountain or a horse and rider, at most another lion. Observe the tall cold of a flower, which is as innocent and as guilty, as meaningful and as meaningless as any other flower in the western field.
The blue-draped figure in the Civic Center Plaza was to be unveiled by Mayor Daley.
Mr. Mayor, it is now my pleasant duty now to turn over to you the Chicago Picasso for its dedication and unveiling.
This is William Hartman, the architect who convinced Picasso to create the statue for Chicago. He's introducing Mayor Daley by reading a telegram from the White House.
To the Honorable Richard J. Daley, Mayor of Chicago, please accept my warm congratulations on another historic first for the City Beautiful. Your new Civic Center Plaza, with its unique and monumental sculpture by one of the acknowledged geniuses of modern art, is a fitting addition to a city famous for its creative vitality. Chicago, which gave the world its first skyscraper, and America some of our greatest artists and poets, has long recognized that art, beauty, and open space are essential and proper elements in urban living. You have demonstrated once again that Chicago is a city second to none. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Daley.
Fellow Chicagoans, I am very happy that you have come today to participate in dedicating the Chicago Picasso. We can differ in our personal appreciation of any of these forms, but we can be proud that Chicago is recognized throughout the world as the center of creative architecture. The Chicago Picasso, like the creation of any exciting works of art, very naturally developed a dialogue and difference of opinion. But it seems to me that Picasso, who has been called the greatest of the living artists, gave us the surest clue as to what the sculpture should mean to us. He said he was making a gift in tribute to the vitality of Chicago. The city is a laboratory of human experience, the incubator of ideas, the patron of the arts. It is the melting pot for diverse cultures, and at the same time, the city is a preserver of the individuality and the wellspring of innovation, the cradle of democracy. As mayor, I dedicate this gift in the name of the people of Chicago, confident that it will have an abiding and happy place in the city's heart.
In September, federal, state, and county agents began a crackdown on syndicate-connected activities in Cicero. One of the places closed reopened after filing an appeal, claiming the court action gave it the right to operate pending outcome of the case. What you are about to hear is an actual raid conducted by the sheriff's office on grounds the place had no legal right to sell liquor. The first voice you hear, Sheriff Joseph Woods, as the nightclub operator handed him a stack of papers which supposedly legalized the business.
This is not worth the paper it's written on. This is your appeal. This doesn't give you any rights.
All right.
You are violating the law, and you know it.
No, I don't know. That's what
This
my
place
attorney...
is closed as of this moment. Your license has been revoked, and you know it.
Well, that's what the attorney gave us.
Well, you better hire a different attorney, is all I can say, because as of the moment, you've been selling whiskey without a license. Lock him up. Are you the manager, or is Mr.
So that was the boss. I just came down.
You've been running it without a license. You're under arrest.
All right. That's what my attorney told me.
Well, your attorney's wrong.
Well, if he's wrong, he's wrong. Well, I know. Listen, we just try to go along the way people tell us.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, this is no
I
good.
believe you.
Well, who's going? Both of us or
Both
what?
of you.
My God, you can't even come in on the night off.
And if the bartenders don't rush it up a little, they'll be going.
Let's make up, fellas. Let's go. Open up.
You've been in and out of this enough to know that this is useless.
No,
Filing an appeal doesn't mean anything unless the judge grants
Listen,
you the motion to open this
I
joint up.
don't know about law. I don't know.
I'm not a lawyer, but
No.
I know that much.
Well, I
and
know-
you've been running this place.
Yes, I have, and I don't know that. I never heard it. My lawyer told me it's all right to open
No,
up.
it isn't.
Wait till I get my coat.
Wait a minute. I have somebody else get the code for him. Where is your license?
I guess it's on the wall, ain't it?
Yeah.
Right here. What you say?
Do you have a driver's license? Do you have any identification whatsoever?
She doesn't have any identification. How do you know that she's old enough to serve drinks?
She used to work here before for me. She's been with us quite a while.
What's her name?
Right.
Mary. A lot of girls named Mary. Now, you either have some identification.
You got any identification on?
I have it at home. I can call and get it.
All right. Have your babysitter bring it down. She must be about 26.
Would the licensee please bring his records out to show me who this girl is? I'm with the Liquor Commission. I want to see your records,
She just
please.
started tonight.
Just started tonight.
She just started.
I want to see how your records show her listed.
As a cigarette girl.
Well, could you bring your records out and show me how you hired her?
We haven't any records for tonight. It just opened up.
Well, what's her name? Who is she?
It's
She goes under Mary.
Mary
Mac.
something. Mary Mac.
How do you know she's proper age?
Oh, yeah, she's proper age.
Huh? Do you have a social security number?
Yeah, she has a social.
Well, do you have the record of it?
Not yet. We just opened up.
You hired her, didn't you?
Yes, but she's worked here before.
Well, could I see your records, please? Could you bring your...
I haven't got them here tonight. See,
You haven't got them here tonight?
no.
Where do you have them?
We just started. We just started tonight, and I haven't got any of the records here.
You just started tonight?
Yeah, that's what the help
You
is.
just started her tonight?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you're supposed to keep records.
Yes, we've
You're a
got it.
licensee,
We've got
your
it.
records must be on the premises.
Listen.
Are they on the premises?
Yes, they're on the premises.
Let's see the records.
I haven't got any records entered for her tonight because she just started, and we could enter. We get those entered.
Well, who is she then? Do you have any?
Mary Mac.
Mary Mac?
Mary Mac.
When it was over, nearly everyone was booked, and those records never were made available to the agent from the Illinois Liquor Control Commission.